Committee for the 6th day of June, 2022. Will the clerk please take roll call?
Chairman Wilson, absent. Vice Chairman Schmidt, absent. Trustee Bailey, absent. Mr. Vitale.
Here.
Mr. Van Vliet.
Here.
Mr. Simons.
Here.
Mayor Johnson.
Here,
3 absent and 4 here.
we have a quorum. First on the agenda, approval of the minutes of the May 16th. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes for the May 16th meeting?
So made. Second.
Motion by trustee Vitale, second by, Mr. Vitale, and Mr. Van Vliet. Any corrections, additions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Minutes have been approved. Next, I'll present the warrants with a total of $482,918.69. Do I have a motion for approval?
So made.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Simmons, second by Mr. Van Vliet. Any discussion? Well,
It was Mr. Vitale who seconded.
I'm sorry, Mr. Vitale.
Yes, it was.
Yeah, sorry. May we have a roll call, please?
Mr. Vitale.
Hey.
Mr. Van Vliet. Mr. Van Vliet.
Yes.
Mr. Simons.
Aye.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye.
4 ayes.
Warrants
3
have-
absent.
Warrants have been approved. Next, I'll present ordinance 2722 and entertain a motion for approval.
So made. Second.
Motion by Mr. Van Vliet, second by Mr. Vitale. May we have staff report, please?
Thank you, Your Honor. There are 3 parcels located within the floodplain and nearby other property already owned by the village that are currently owned by the county trustee. They're located at 6 Marquette, 24 Marquette, and 14 Liberty. They are all vacant lots. Before they go to tax sale, they were offered to the village for $500 each. However, given that 6 Marquette is just a small sliver, it was agreed they would waive that cost. So the total cost for all 3 parcels is $1,000. We feel it's advantageous for the village to acquire these properties, keep them as open green space, similar to the other properties that the village already owns. The attached ordinance approves the purchase of the 3 parcels that are vacant from the county trustee. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please take roll call?
Mr. Van Vliet.
Aye.
Mr. Vitale.
Aye.
Mr. Simons.
Aye.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye.
4 ayes, 3 absent.
Ordinance 2722 has passed, and we'll go on to the June 20th board meeting with positive recommendation. Next, I'll present ordinance 2822 and entertain a motion for approval.
So made.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Simmons, second by Mr. Van Vliet. May we have a staff report, please?
Thank you. So I'd like to preface by saying that the way in which the village processes FOIA requests is not going to change as a result of this ordinance, and that Clerk Snodgrass is acting in full compliance with the Freedom of Information Act in her role as Freedom of Information Officer. Rather, this ordinance will amend the FOIA section in our code and FOIA postings to clearly outline our FOIA request procedure and include village information that is required by statute. This information includes a chart illustrating the village's functional subdivisions and an updated index of village records that are available for request. And Robin, if you have anything you'd like to add, feel free.
Nope, that's great.
All right.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please take roll call?
Mr. Simons.
Aye.
Mr. Van Vliet.
Aye.
Mr. Vitale.
Aye.
Mayor Johnson.
Aye.
4 ayes, 3 absent.
Ordinance 2022 will go on to the June 20th board meeting with positive recommendation. Next, I'll entertain a motion to approve Resolution 28R22 and looking for entertainment for a motion, please.
So made. Second.
Motion by Mr. Van Vliet, second by Mr. Vitale. May we have staff report, please?
Thank you. So Bird Rides Incorporated is interested in launching an electric scooter sharing program here in Machesney Park. Currently, Bird operates programs in a number of surrounding municipalities, including Beloit, South Beloit, and Rockford. If approved, Bird would deploy 25 electric scooters in Machesney Park that can be ridden in an approved zone to be determined by the village administrator and superintendent of public works. Bird will also employ a local representative to manage the fleet with no cost or obligation to the village. In the event that any issues were to arise, village staff would have a direct contact with the company to ensure that it is resolved promptly. If there's any questions, happy to answer them.
Any discussion, questions? No?
Mr. Mayor, if I could just add something
Yeah,
as
go
well.
ahead.
What Dylan was referencing was the ability for these to be geo-fenced. They operate on GPS, so we can limit exactly where these scooters are able to be functional or not. It's been tried in other communities. You can keep them off the streets and, limit them to bike paths or blocks of area to keep everybody safe. So it's a really neat amenity and a tool. And I think in the other communities that have these, we see people doing this and recreating with these as a fun time, as something to do together. So I think it's going to be a great addition to Chesney Park. Thank you.
Mr. Sims?
Just as a comment, my wife and I were down in Nashville this past week, and they were all over the place. The younger people just riding them everywhere.
Yeah.
So we mentioned down there that'd be kind of nice thing to have. So
Very
Good.
good.
I was really surprised when I got to see this.
Very good. Will the clerk please take roll call?
Mr. Vitale?
Aye.
Mr. Van Vliet?
Aye.
Mr. Simons?
Aye.
Mayor Johnson?
Aye.
4 ayes, 3 absent.
Resolution 28R22 will go on to the June 20th board meeting with a positive recommendation. Next, I'll present Resolution 29R22 and entertain a motion for approval.
So made.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Simmons, second by Mr. Vitale. Is there staff report, please?
Thank you. So in March of 2019, the Board of Trustees approved Resolution 12R19, authorizing the village to enter into an intergovernmental agreement to be a member of the Northern Illinois Land Bank Authority. As part of this agreement, the village appointed Village Administrator James Richter II to represent Machesney Park on the Land Bank's Board of Trustees for a 3-year term. This term has come to an end and a new appointment must be made. Staff is recommending that James be reappointed to a second term, given his community development oversight for the village and familiarity with the land bank. Thank you.
Thank you. Any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please take roll call?
Mr. Van Vliet?
Aye.
Mr. Simons?
Aye.
Mr. Vitale?
Aye.
Mayor Johnson?
Aye.
4 ayes, 3 absent.
Resolution 29R22 has passed. We'll go on to the June 20th board meeting with a positive recommendation. Next, I'll present the Resolution 30R22 and entertain a motion for approval.
So made.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Simmons, second by Mr. Vitale. May we have staff report, please?
Thank you, Mayor. Resolution 30R22 will award the construction contract for Indigo Lane, which is the improvements of Indigo between Roosevelt Road and Copper Drive. There was a lot of interest in the project during bidding. We had 8 general contractors pull packets. 2 subcontractors were also procured documents. We had 2 plan rooms as well. A total of 4 contractors submitted proposals for the project. And the proposals range from $683,000 to $627,000, so the range of pricing was pretty tight. The opinion of probable cost was $646,000. NTRAC Group is the lowest responsible bidder. We are recommending approval award of the contract to NTRAC Group.
Any discussion? Hearing none, will the clerk please take roll call?
Mr. Vitale?
Aye.
Mr. Van Vliet?
Aye.
Mr. Simons?
Aye.
Mayor Johnson?
Aye.
4 ayes, 3 absent.
Resolution 30R22 will go on to the June 20th board meeting with a positive recommendation. Next, I'll present Resolution 31R22 and entertain a motion for approval.
So made.
Second.
First, motion by Mr. Van Vliet, second by Mr. Simons. Is staff report, please?
Again, thank you, Mayor. We've been coordinating with the City of Loves Park on the Harlem Road improvements since last year. I think everybody sort of realizes that there is a boundary line between the Village of Machesney Park and the City of Loves Park that runs down the center of Harlem Road, generally west of Wesley Avenue, east of Wesley Avenue, excuse me. Both communities spent considerable time researching their documents to see if we could actually locate a legal description for the corporate boundary of the city and of the village, and we couldn't find one. So essentially, for whatever reason, the boundary line is going down the center of Harlem Road, and we've decided that that's how we'll treat it. That's how we have continuously treated maintenance on Harlem Road. The City of Loves Park will stripe its portion of Harlem Road at different times than we do. So there's two essential goals to this intergovernmental agreement. The first of which is to lay out each party's responsibility under the Harlem Road improvements, and essentially the village is managing the project itself. The city is participating. We're keeping the city in the loop, and then the city will pay its costs for its share of Harlem Road, basically to the east of Wesley Avenue. The second thing that it does is it lays out a jurisdictional transfer of sorts so that the boundary line between the two municipalities for maintenance purposes is no longer longitudinally down the center line of the road. It is perpendicular to the road at or near the intersection of Wesley Avenue. And so you won't see the City of Loves Park restripe its portion of Harlem Road, and then a month later we restripe ours or vice versa. So there's a clear cutoff line. When we went through the Alpine Road project last year, the same condition exists on Alpine around the intersection of Juniper. For whatever reason, the boundary line is actually pretty weird, if you will, around that area. And so we are also drawing a boundary line between the two communities for maintenance purposes only, a jurisdictional transfer of sorts, so that, north of a certain section of Juniper Lane, it will be the Village of Machesney Park. South, it will be the City of Loves Park. So there's a clear dividing line between the maintenance responsibility for each community. Since we're not going to have a report this evening, I do want to state that the orange barrels have started to show up out on Harlem Road. On Wednesday, those orange barrels will be out in force. They will actually be placed out into the roadway. We'll start closing lanes. And Wednesday afternoon, if the weather cooperates, we'll start having saw cut crews out there, and we'll start doing removals on the west end of Harlem Road. Essentially, we're going to be concentrating on the west end of Harlem Road first because it's our busiest area. We have the Hamilton Center, we have CVS Pharmacy. We're going to try to get that done here in about the next 6 to 8 weeks, have the level binder in place, and then take down the traffic control and put temporary pavement markings in that area until the time comes to put the surface down. Once we put the surface down, then we'll put the barrels back up and start paving and start doing the pavement markings. So our goal is to try to get out of that area as fast as we can, just because it's pretty busy. There should have been updated exhibits placed on your desks for reasons unknown to us. The text and lines that I had drawn in the exhibits did not come out in your packets. So hopefully those exhibits show with more clarity what's going on. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Any discussion?
No, good.
Hearing none, will the clerk please take roll call?
Mr. Vitale,
Aye.
Mr. Van Vliet,
Aye.
Mr. Simons,
Aye.
Mayor Johnson,
Aye.
4 ayes, 3 absent.
Resolution 31R22 will go on to the June 20th board meeting with a positive approval. Next would be reports. Having none, next would be public comment. Does anybody want to address the board for the good of address the committee for the good of the village? Hearing none. Next would be adjournment. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
So made. Second.
Motion by Mr. Van Vliet, I'm sorry, Van Vliet.
Vitale.
Dan Van Vliet, sorry.
Yep.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.